Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Deep Understanding of Research Papers. Today in this tutorial I am going to explain the paper Emotion Identification from Raw Speech Signal Using DNNs. This paper is by a group of people from JHU and Guwahati University and people from Govivans. So this paper is by Mousmita Sarma, who is in Guwahati University, Pegah Ghahremani from JHU CLSP lab, Daniel Povey again CLSP lab JHU, Nagendra Kumar Goel from Govivans, uh, Kandarpa Kumar Sarma from Guwahati University again, Najim Dehak from JHU. So the tutorial is going to cover the overview of the paper first, then we will see what is emotion recognition, then we'll see the DNNs methods for emotion recognition we introduced in these papers, and we'll see the front-end analysis and dataset and data perturbation methods. Finally, we'll see how these people are modeling the temporal context or temporal information from the utterance level or utterance of emotion audio. So in the overview, actually the paper is written for something called speech emotion recognition. So speech emotion recognition is basically classifying any audio speech into or audio data into one of the, let's say, 5 different emotion like angry, neutral, happy, fear, and etc. So the main contribution in this paper is these following items. So first they compare different feature extraction methods in the front end, uh, and they show how these methods gives improvement or gives results. I mean gives different results. So that is the first contribution, and second, it compares how do we average or how do we aggregate these frame level information so that we get like utterance level information, so which is nothing but modeling the temporal dependency. And they show with the different techniques like TDN and LSTM method, attention, and they have something called statistic pooling method which comes after TDNN. And also these people show how important the data perturbation is for these deep models, because these models are data hungry and the data set used in this paper is very small, like 5000 utterances. And they show how you get a large amount of boost up in the accuracy if you use data perturbation. And as you can see, the overview, as I explained, there are a lot of experiments done in this paper, and what I'm going to do is, as and when I explain each module, I'm going to explain you like what is the performance they got after they add or after they make some changes in that module. So this experiment is heavy in experimentation, so I would suggest you to go just read the paper. It's very interesting. uh, what is emotion recognition? So emotion recognition is basically is about identifying the emotion of a person from audio signal, like audio data. For example, let's say there is somebody calling someone, and let's say a call center, and you want to understand the emotion of that person, whether he is happy or whether he is angry or is he sad. So this is speech emotion recognition, and there is a lot of work done in this field. And people, even today, people are continuing to do this research, because still this field has not matured. I mean, when I say not matured, it's not reached like accuracy of, let's say, 98% or 96%. And there is a lot of exploration or a lot of research has to be done in this field, and a lot of people are working on this. So basically, so we'll see in this slide what is end-to-end DNNs for emotion recognition. So so there are two diagrams here, so figure A and figure B. So if you look at figure A, so what we have here is we have a waveform, a raw waveform front end layers. We'll see. I'll explain what are these in the coming slides. And we have something called long temporal context modeling layers, which could be like LSTMs we have in deep learning, which takes care of temporal information. Or we have used something called TDNN in speech. It's very interesting, we'll explain that. And at the end, since we process these layers, I mean, since we process the speech data in segments, we have to somehow combine these information, segment level information, into utterance level information. So for that we use statistic extraction layer, that is in figure A. But in figure B we see that this statistic extraction layer is not there, because these long temporal modeling layers can capture the temporal information using just a deep learning layer like LSTM. So this first model does not use LSTM, which can process variable length sequences, but second layer we use LSTM, and we'll see the variations we do, like we combine LSTM with DNN with something called time restricted self attention. So we'll see all that. So this is the main figure where we do where we insert different models and find out the accuracy of those models. So coming to front-end analysis, as you can see in the first block itself is there is a front-end analysis. So basically we have three different feature extraction methods. So it's not exactly feature extraction. So the three ones are, first one is using handcrafted feature, which is like MFCC. So you have a MFCC algorithm which just takes a speech signal and converts your audio into feature vectors for every, let's say, 25 millisecond. But that is one way of doing a feature extraction. So we have another method, or we have other techniques where we can directly process the raw audio or raw waveforms, which is just become trend these days, because there is very much improvement you get if you directly process the raw audio for the deep models, because you don't have to be worried about extracting the features in manual in the sense we don't have to extract the feature using some algorithm. The network itself finds out what are the best features it can extract for that particular problem. So this is one very interesting work which is going on, because a lot of people have been using these sort of raw waveforms based processing or pre-processing for their deep models. It's kind of becoming a trend these days. And using trainable filter bank layer, basically this is about converting how do you prepare a layer, basically a deep layer which can directly take the audio and converts that into feature. Basically you are learning the filter banks. So basically the learning mechanism here finds out what are the best filter banks it can get using the audio. So this is again learning layer. You can train your model so that it learns these filter banks automatically. And as I said, for the handcrafted feature we use 23-dimensional MFCC, filter bank outputs, which is handcrafted for the baseline result at least. Then we have the raw waveform based learning, where we take the raw audio and basically the raw audio can be, let's say, 40 millisecond length. So 40 millisecond length audio segment which will have some samples, and you apply 1D convolution over that 40 millisecond audio, because the 40 millisecond audio waveform is a 1D signal, and you apply 1D convolution over that. And so what you may apply a lot of filters, mini filters, and you can aggregate all these filters using something called network nonlinearity layers, which was proposed back in 2016 for acoustic modeling. The paper name is Acoustic Modeling for Learning CNNs, something like that, which is again from JHU. The paper is again from JHU. You can go and refer to that paper. Then we have learning the filter bank layer, which is basically learning the filters from audio, and we'll see. We also see that using raw waveform directly gives the better result. So the results here, since as I said, this paper is heavy in experimentations, so I'm going to be explaining each topic, and I'm going to tell you what is the accuracy if you use this particular variations in this layer. So for the feature extraction method, if you use direct MFCC, which is the basic standard MFCC a lot of people use, which gives you the weighted accuracy of average accuracy of 59.9% for 4 emotion class. We'll see the data and what is the data used and how many data points for each class. Then if you use direct time domain signal, which is basically the raw audio, if you directly use the raw audio, you get huge improvement. It's around almost 6% absolute improvement over your MFCC, which is really good. And then frequency domain is basically learning the filter banks, which gives you again pretty good accuracy, around 3 to 4% accuracy improvement, direct, I mean absolute improvement, which is really good. And but the best model is 65.5%. So the coming up experiments, whatever they are going to do, basically will use the time domain, this method. Basically the front end will be the time domain, which is raw audio with 1D convolution on that. Second point is what is the data and data perturbation. So here we see the importance of data perturbation, basically adding noise to the data. When I say data perturbation, and perturbing the audio so that you get more data. So basically what they have is they are using IMOCAP dataset, which is the very well known dataset for emotion recognition. This dataset is basically 12 hours of audio visual data. They have audio and the corresponding transcript, and they have the visual, I mean the face information also, because whenever people express their emotion, their face will change, I mean face features will change, and that's also important. They have the visual data as well as they have the emotion label for every utterance. So the data they are using actually has many labels, like it has 5 labels, but they are using only 4 classes, and each class, the classes names are happy, sad, angry, and neutral. So each class has these many utterances, like happy has 1636, sad has 1084, angry as 1100, and neutral as 1700 approximately. And there are 5 sessions, out of which 4 sessions are being used for training and 1 session is used for testing. And to increase the amount of data, because these models are very data hungry, because LSTM and TDNN, these are data hungry models, they need a lot of data to get better accuracy. So they are using augmentation pipeline. So we'll see what are the types of augmentation they do. So they are using amplitude perturbation and speed perturbation. So basically for each speech signal they apply different types of 10 different types of modulation, amplitude modulation, and they create like 10 times more data than what they have, like 5000 utterance they have, and they get 10 times bigger than that. And for every utterance, like after they apply speed after they apply amplitude modulation for each signal, they apply speed perturbation. The speed factors are like 0.1, 0.9, 1.0 and 1.1. So that way they increase the amount of data, and the data becomes like 30 times bigger than whatever they have. And the important point here is if you apply perturbation, I mean if you don't apply perturbation, the weighted accuracy is 60 and unweighted is 48, right? But if you apply perturbation, what happens is you get absolute 66% improvement, which is really good. And if you don't apply if you apply perturbation in unweighted accuracy case, you get like almost 10% improvement, which is good, right? So finally we'll see the temporal modeling part, temporal context, modeling the temporal context part. So basically this is about how do we handle the utterance level information, because whenever we because as we know that the emotion of a particular utterance basically depends on different emotion cues in that particular audio. For example, if somebody says this movie is bad, right? So the emotion is actually the emotion cue is actually occurring at the word bad. So even though we have transcripts for these utterance, we could use the transcripts as another guiding signal to help these emotion models to get better accuracy, which has been already done by a lot of people. Like the same group from JHU has already done this experiment of using the text as a guiding signal for training the emotion recognition model, and they show that they get very good accuracy boost up on this emotion on the same data set. Actually, that is another part where a lot of people are combining linguistic feature, text features, all that for emotion classification, which is giving very good improvement. But in this paper they don't use any text information, but they want to capture this emotion cues. So for the emotion cues to capture, and as we know that on the entire utterance very few places may give you the emotion cues, and we first of all we want to capture that entire utterance level information, and we want to know where these emotion cues are actually happening, which is sort of like finding out it's sort of like applying attention over that entire utterance. So this is a very interesting part. So here they have to capture these two, as I said, like they have to capture the utterance information, and they have to capture and they have to find out the emotion cues using some sort of attention sort of mechanism, and if you do that, you get better accuracy. And here they show that here for the temporal context part, at least they are using three different techniques. So one is using statistic pooling, which is basically nothing but combining the frame level features using mean and standard deviation features. For example, let's say you are using TDNN, and for every frame you get one output at the TDNN layer, which is sort of let's say 10 dimensional vector, 100 dimensional vector, and for every frame you get 100 dimensional vector. So what these people do is they take all these 100 dimensional vector for the entire utterance, and they find out the mean and standard deviation of that of all the features, and they concatenate that mean and standard deviation, and they are going to feed that to a DNN layer, and finally they apply a softmax on that. So basically this is like pooling, global max pooling, which you do in other methods, other like image and other fields. So global like max pooling, mean pooling, just like that we have the statistics pooling, where we take all the hidden layer representations from the TDNN output, and we find out this mean and standard deviation, and that goes to DNN. So that is statistic pooling, and if you use DNN along with statistic pooling, you get around 65.5% weighted average accuracy, which is good, which is better than what we have with just using speech. I mean, with just using frame level. And after that, they use LSTM. So basically, they use TDNN along with LSTM. So what do you mean by TDNN along with LSTM? So basically, they have a TDN layer, and they interleave that TDN layer with an LSTM layer, right? And after that, they again will have a TDN layer, and then they will put another LSTM layer. This is sort of like interleaving the LSTM in between two TDN layers. So this is a very interesting technique. I mean, very interesting architecture. People have been using it for speech recognition, and they show it's a very good method for getting a really good improvement in accuracy for speech recognition, at least in I mean, which at least in low data regime, which we have seen, like using TDNN along with by LSTM, or LSTM gives you very good accuracy compared to deep speech, right? Deep speech 2 or deep speech 3, only when you have very low amount of data, right? Like let's say 100 or 200 hours of data, which is very good. And as I said, this TDNN LSTM will capture the temporal information, but we also want to know the emotion cues, or we want to also know the places where these actual emotion cues are happening. For example, if I say a movie, like let's say if I say this movie is bad, I mean, I'm angry about this movie because I have spent a lot of money, and I am stressing the word bad. So basically, the emotion is actually occurring at the word bad. So we want to find out those emotion cues. For that, they use something called time restricted attention method, which is which is described in another paper. And this method actually gives you the best result, which is 66.3%. Compared to all other methods. Like they also have an experiment on LSTM with attention, just on plain LSTM with attention, which is okay. I mean, which is giving 63%. And but the best method or best model for this entire experiments is this one, TDNN LSTM with attention. And thanks for watching this video, and if you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up, and please share the video. Thank you.